Hearings are quasi-judicial, and I am the special magistrate appointed to hear these cases today. Formal rules of evidence do not apply, but fundamental due process shall be followed. Everyone who has a case today will have an opportunity to present evidence and testimony. You may present witnesses to testify on your behalf, but there is no public comment portion. You must be a respondent or be called as a witness in order to speak on a specific case. Everything today is being recorded and all testimony will be under oath. When you are sworn in, please provide your current mailing address so any orders get to the correct location. The city will present its case first, and all information will be displayed on the screens above us. The city's PowerPoint presentation is generally entered into evidence unless someone makes an objection. After the evidence, I will make a ruling. That ruling will be reduced to writing and mailed to you. And at this point, we'll go ahead and swear in the officers and any party who wishes to speak. If you wish to speak on your case, attorneys, I do not need to swear you in, but anyone who wishes to speak on their case, please raise your right hand. Are you going to speak on your case, ma'am? Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you. And we're going to go a little bit out of order since we do have an attorney present, and we always want to keep those attorney bills down. So we'll take that case first.
I've got 3 items to submit for evidence. The first one is the affidavit for the notice of violation. The second is going to be the affidavit for the notice of hearing. And the third is going to be the cost recovery statement in the amount of $110.92.
And for the record, this is case number 2324.
I did not know that. Do I need to do that?
Well, there was a Scrivener's error between MHP and MHC. Due process was done. Applicants are here. But if there was any documents that pertain to Silver Breeze, MHC, LLC, Parakeet, and it is on the end of it there, but the MHP should not be there.
Well, I've got on the notice of violation is the right, actually it's MHP on the
Right.
notice of violation. I can go ahead and change that. No objection, I suppose, right?
Yeah, no.
Just so that the record, so I'll accept that as Exhibit 1, which is the notice of the violation and the affidavit of service will be Exhibit 1. Exhibit 2 is the notice of hearing for today's hearing and the affidavit of service. That also has MHP. I will change that to MHC. Which will be admitted as Exhibit 2. Exhibit 3 is the cost recovery breakdown. This is the amounts the city is requesting for recovery. It also has MHP. I will revise that to MHC. And that I will accept as Exhibit 3. And that is $110.92 for the costs. If council wants to look at any of these, I don't know if you've already provided copies to him, but.
I don't believe so.
I've seen copies.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right, so admitted.
All right, so again, this is the initial hearing for case number 23-24. Our respondents are Silver Breeze MHC LLC and Parakeet MHC LLC. The violation address is 925 Cheney Highway, Titusville, Florida, 32780. Our mailing addresses are 10221 River Road, number 59831, Potomac, Maryland, 20859, and then our registered agent address is 7901 4th Street North, Suite 300 in St. Petersburg, Florida 33702. So we have one violation. It is section 16-15, depositing trash on streets or in gutters or in stormwater systems. It's coming on. It's starting to flash at me. There we go. Yes. All right, so the initial inspection was done on March 21st, 2023. So the notice of violation and the notice of hearing were hand-delivered to park staff and sent by certified and first-class mail to the listed owner and registered agent on March 23rd, 2023. The certified mail sent to the listed owner was signed for on March 30th, and the certified mail sent to the registered agent was signed for on March 29th. The notice of hearing for today's hearing was posted at City Hall and on the property on April 26, 2023. So an inspection of the property was completed after several tenants reported park staff using gasoline as weed killer, dumping the gasoline on vegetation along the fence line off Apollo Road, as well as along the fence on the east side of the property. Park manager Rhonda Skelly was contacted, and we met on site and completed an inspection. At the time of the inspection, I did detect a strong odor of gasoline in several locations, both on the property. Pictures were taken of those areas. Ms. Skelly, while we were doing our inspection, she did call her employees. They did admit or confirm they were on site that morning and had poured the gasoline on several trees.
That day?
That morning. The results of the reinspection, when I went out on the 26th to post the property, palm trees and bushes in those areas that I detected gasoline did show damage. They're either dead or dying. So the code section 16-15 for depositing trash on the streets and gutters or in stormwater system, it says it shall be unlawful for any person to drain, deposit, place, or otherwise discharge onto any street, gutter, ditch, lake, river, body of water, outlet, stormwater system within the city, or cause or permit to be drained, deposited, placed, or otherwise discharged into such waters any organic, inorganic materials which causes or tend to cause pollution. Polluting matters include or are not limited to petroleum items, which includes oil, gasoline, and grease. So this picture is a site plan of Silver Breeze Mobile Home Park. The two areas highlighted in red is where the odor of gasoline was detected. So this is a picture taken March 21st inside the park looking out onto Apollo Road. When I went back on the 26th, this is vegetation along Apollo Road. Farther north on Apollo Road. So this is a picture taken on March 21st. This is on the east side of the property near trailer 38. And again, this is where an odor of gasoline was present when I was there. When I went back out, several trees were dead in that same location. Same thing, this is March 21st. We are near trailers 41, 40, 41, 42 from the 21st. And again, back out on the 26th, we've got the trees that were affected.
That's a different road?
That's inside the park. That's just on the east side of the property. Apollo Road is on the west side.
So that's just a road within the community?
Yes, that's the driveway inside the park. This park, elevation-wise, it slopes down into Apollo on the west side and then into Cheney Road on the north side. So for our conclusions of facts, we have the gasoline was dumped on vegetation on the property. Stormwater from the property does discharge onto Apollo Road and into Cheney Highway. So we are requesting that the respondents be assessed the appropriate relief since this violation is irreversible in nature. And we're asking that the respondents be assessed the administrative costs in $110.92.
What's your recommended fine?
We're just looking for the appropriate relief since it's irreversible. I know it's
Well,
up
under the
to
statute,
$5,000. It's up to $5,000.
So staff's not gonna make a recommendation? That's fine, if you don't want to. Okay, anything else from the city? All right, I will hear from respondent. If you could just give me your name and your address.
Sure. My name is Charles Lovings, Lovings,
And your business address?
2155 Delta Boulevard, Suite 210B, like boy. And that's in Tallahassee, Florida.
Okay, and you represent the owners of Silver Breeze Mobile Home Park?
Correct.
Okay.
And do I refer to you as Magistrate, Your Honor? How does that work?
Not your honor.
I wasn't sure.
That's
Ms. Nutcher?
that's fine.
I'll make this quick. I'll just get right to it. On behalf of the respondents, they fully admit to the allegations. I think it is important to note to the court that my clients have been completely honest through this process. There was never any denial. It was simply the community manager who's here today and wanted to testify, and the assistant manager just weren't thinking at the time. They were trying to fix the fence, and they were focused on that and didn't give any thought. It is worth noting that Mr. Richard Skelly that committed the violation, his wife, have managed that community through the various ownerships for 13 years, and this is the only incident of code compliance. They take it extremely serious. The fact they've had me come all the way to Tallahassee just to tell you that shows how serious they are.
Yeah.
From ownership all the way down to management, they have assured that it will not happen again in any code violations. And we would ask, considering that it's the first time and they've been completely honest and forthright and show extreme remorse, that we would ask for a minimum penalty.
All right, I'll ask you, do you have a recommendation?
I would recommend if the 192 that they asked for to pay, in addition to that, a fine in the amount of $500.
Okay. So just under 162, chapter 162, the city is bringing this as a irreparable, irreversible violation, which we don't see that very much, but it's the type of violation that can't be fixed and you can't be cured. So they're not asking for a certain period of time for your clients to bring the property into compliance. They're just asking for a fine to be assessed. for the violation. And the city agrees that there's not a curable, there's nothing that you are going to request them to do to try to cure the violations.
Well, there's actually no way to cure that. However, the 500 we'll agree with. We'd also like to see a landscape plan of what their efforts are into restoring that in some kind of way.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. My client would be willing to do that, of course.
well, that makes my job a lot easier. Okay, anything else from either city or
That's it.
the respondent? All right, I will go ahead and make a ruling. I find that the respondents were provided notice. Respondents are present through their attorney. The respondents do not dispute the violation. The testimony and evidence show that there is a violation of section 16-15 of the city code. They're definitely agree that there is evidence that gasoline was deposited in order to kill landscaping, and seems to have been effective, and that is a violation of the code. The city is asking for a finding of an irreversible violation, which I agree, this is an irreversible violation. Under the statute, costs can be assessed up to $5,000, or a fine can be assessed up to $5,000. However, considering that this is apparently a first-time violation, is
Yes, ma'am.
okay, first-time violation and a promise not to let it happen again, I will agree that the fine, which is recommended by respondent and agreed to by city, of $500 shall be imposed, as well as recovery of the city's costs in the amount of $110.92. And unless there's any further questions or comments, there will be an order that will be drafted within the next couple of days, and then it will get mailed out. Council, would you like a copy also sent to you?
Yes, I would.
Anything else from the city on that?
Yes, ma'am. I was
Oh,
wondering.
and a landscape plan,
Yes,
sorry.
ma'am. Thank you.
Also, it is part of this order that, and the parties have agreed that the respondents shall prepare a landscape plan that will be submitted to the city to show how you plan to restore the area that has been disturbed by the gasoline. Thank you. All right, thank you. Okay, back to the top of the agenda.
Yes, ma'am, but our inspector just walked out the door, so we could just give her 1 minute.
Sure. That's all right.
Thought a different case was gonna come up. All right, so. I have one exhibit. It is going to be notice of hearing for today's Massey hearing.
And this is 23-04, correct?
Correct.
All right, Exhibit 1 will be the notice of hearing and the affidavit of service for today's hearing.
So once again, this is the Massey hearing for case number 2304. Our respondent is Michael Simon. Our violation address and mailing address are the same of 1590 Thomas Street, Titusville, Florida, 32780. Our violations, we have 5 of them. First is section 12-23, machinery parts, scrap lumber, etc. Storage prohibited. We've got the section 1-109, the 2018 International Property Maintenance Code, subsection 302.7. This is the accessory structure, referencing both a fence and a shed. The third one is International Property Maintenance Code, subsection 304.2. That is our protective treatment, our paints, etc. Violation number 4 is the IPMC 304.3. This is our premise identification. And last, International Property Maintenance Code, subsection 304.6, and that's for the exterior walls. So the case was originally heard March 13th. A representative for the owner did not attend. The respondent was ordered to correct the violation on or before May 5th. If compliance was not achieved, fine in the amount of $25 per day per violation would be assessed commencing on May 6th and continue daily until the violations are corrected. The respondent was also assessed administrative costs in the amount of $216.58. So the notice of Massey hearing was sent certified in first-class mail on March 20th. The certified letter was returned March 30th, 2023. The property and City Hall were posted for the Massey hearing on April 26th, 2023. So in addition to sending the respondent a copy of the order, we also send it to Cynthia Simon. She is a sister of Mr. Simon. I spoke with her on March 28th, 2023. Her and her mother do not have any rights to the property. At the time of our conversation, no probate had been filed. And there's a wife that she referenced that would be responsible for that. So the reinspection completed May 5th. There was no change to the condition of the property, no work started. So I've got pictures from May 5th. This is the street view from the street. We have no premise identification. We've got damage to the exterior walls, and we've got trash and debris on the left-hand side, and also the walkway and inside the front entrance. This is on the rear of the property. We've got trash and debris, the exterior of the house, very damaged. This is on the east side of the property, the back side of the house. Again, a fence falling over, no paint on the walls. This is another view of the fence and the metal storage building in the backyard. So, conclusions of fact, all 5 violations do remain on the property as no work has been started.
Does it look worse or exactly the same?
Exactly the same. I'll be monitoring for overgrowth.
Also, in my notes and order and on the agenda, the costs were $234.19.
I do apologize.
That's okay. Just making sure the record's clear. And is respondent here today?
No, no one's present.
Okay. Based on the testimony and evidence that there's been no change, the 5 violations still exist, and I'll make a finding that the property is not in compliance with the previous order, and a fine is imposed in the amount of $25 per day per violation for the 5 violations, and will continue to run until full compliance is achieved. And the cost in the amount of $234.19 will also be part of the order. Okay. Next case.
Our next case is 23-12, also a Massey hearing, and this will be Officer Ken Hutchins.
Officer Hutchins.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
The only single evidence I have is for the affidavit for the magistrate hearing.
Okay. Thank you. I will accept into evidence the notice of hearing for today's hearing and the affidavit of service as Exhibit 1.
All right. As presented, this is case number 23-12, and the respondent, excuse me, C-Cubes Landing LLC, and which the parcel doesn't have a normal address, but does obviously have the parcel ID 2215 11-1.08, and the mailed to the address of 5155 South Washington Avenue, Unit 203, and again, the owner is Mr. Tuan Lee, and the violations as presented initially in the case: outdoor storage, junk and debris, overgrowth, general exterior maintenance, exterior walls, and the structural members. And again, this case was originally heard on March 13th. The owner was not present, and the owner is not present again today for this case. The respondent was ordered to correct the violations on or before May 5th, 2023, if not in compliance. If compliance was not achieved, the magistrate to impose a fine of $25 per violation commencing May 6th of 2023 and continuing daily until the violations are corrected and the lien be imposed. The postings were at City Hall and on site. And I apologize, I did not put on there, but the return receipt from the certified mail was brought back on 3/30 of 2023, undeliverable. And just a quick brief rundown again as a refresher of the condition of the building. Those are the structural members that we had issues with, along with the exterior lack of maintenance, outdoor storage, overgrowth, again, outdoor storage, trash and debris, and the conclusion of fact in this case, again, all the violations, again, the outdoor storage, junk and debris, overgrowth, general maintenance, exterior walls and structural members, none of which has been brought into compliance as of yet, nor has there been any permits pulled with regards to the structural members that need to be repaired, which are going to require a permit.
The outdoor storage is still there.
Yes. And my latest inspection was in fact this morning.
Okay. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
All right, I'll go ahead and enter an order that based on the evidence and testimony, proper notice was provided to the respondent. Respondent is not present. The evidence shows that the violations, all 6 violations still exist, and the fine in the amount of $25 per day per violation will run effective May 6th and shall run until all of the violations are corrected. The amount of $165.75 for the city's costs are imposed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. 2316. Okay, Diane Walsh.
All right, I have one item to submit. It is our notice of hearing and affidavit for the Massey hearing.
I will accept into evidence as Exhibit 1 the notice for today's hearing and the affidavit of service.
So once again, this is the Massey hearing for case number 2316. Our respondents are Diane Walsh and Gregory Delfino. Our violation address and mailing address are the same. That is 1630 Chaucer Road, Titusville, Florida, 32780. There were 4 active violations. This is the International Property Maintenance Code, subsection 30413. This is for windows, skylights, doors. Subsection 304.7, this is for the roof. 304.6 is for the exterior walls. And then subsection 505.1 is for the running water. So the case was originally heard on March 13th, 2023. No one attended the meeting for the respondents. They were ordered to correct the violations on or before May 5th. If compliance was not achieved, a fine in the amount of $25 per day per violation to commence on May 6th and continue until the violations are corrected. And now I'm looking at the administrative costs. I've got in my presentation administrative costs of $216.58. Property and City Hall were posted for the Massey hearing on April 26, 2023. Certified and first-class mail was sent out on March 20th. Certified mail was returned unclaimed on April 12th of this year. So re-inspections completed May 5th, and again this morning, the property does remain occupied, and there is no water service connected to the house. And there's been no work started to correct the violations. So these photos were taken May 5th. Again, we do have an occupant currently living at the property. We've got multiple windows that either have missing glazing or damaged glazing, do not open or shut. We've got exterior walls that have rotten wood or damaged or holes. So again, this is the southwest corner of the house. This is where the most damage to the exterior walls and roof is located. Again, multiple windows on the side of the house, the exterior walls. And another view, close-up view. So our conclusion of facts, I've got 4 active violations, and they are all still active on this property.
What's the last thing in red on there? I can't remember.
That one was in compliance. There was quite a bit of trash and debris, open containers holding water, but he had cleaned that up back in February.
Yeah, that was a part of the order.
No, ma'am.
Got it. Mhm. All right, so, and is there anyone here today on that case?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and make a finding of noncompliance. The 4 violations indicated in the previous order still exist. Respondents were given notice and did not appear today. And the fine in the amount of $25 per day per violation is imposed effective May 6, 2023, which will continue to run until the violations are corrected as confirmed by the code enforcement officer, and $216.58 for the city's costs are also imposed.
Yes, ma'am. Case number 2320 was brought in compliance, and you had reserved costs in that matter, and the city is, if you just send us a order reflecting it, the costs were reserved and in compliance.
This refreshed my memory. What was this one?
They had put a storage container on their lot,
Oh, yeah.
and they were here and present and
Yes,
said they would be
yes.
removed, and was accordingly.
Okay. So I will go ahead and enter a compliance order, and I will not impose costs.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Yes, ma'am. The next case, 2321, also a messy hearing. Actually, as early of this today, that property was actually put in compliance with a new owner.
Oh.
Mrs. Gottschall, the realtor, is here. They sold it on last Thursday. The new owner worked through to get everything back into compliance. But you did assess the cost of $146.14 in that case. And
What's the city's interest in that one, the cost? I did impose it.
you did, yes, ma'am, you did impose.
Okay.
They actually charged the seller at closing for the cost to the city.
Okay. You wanna come on up and,
Yes, ma'am. And she'll be able to provide the new owner's information, but I have it as well.
okay.
This is the,
Can I first get you to get your name and your business address?
Cherie Gottschall with Iron Valley Real Estate, Space Coast, 840 North Cocoa Boulevard, Suite C, Cocoa, Florida, 32922.
Okay. Go ahead and tell me. So you represent the new owners, okay.
Right. And here you can see the invoice that was charged to the sellers at closing,
There you
so
go.
you can get a check from the title company for that.
Great.
And this just shows the new owners and their mailing address should be at the top.
Okay. All right. So just for the record, we'll have, the new owner is George Lesko and Desiree Lesko. Okay. I'm not gonna write all that down right now. Hopefully Megan can change. What's that? Okay, all right. Okay,
Okay, and they did order, they didn't put the windows in, but they are on order. So I have.
okay.
And I was gonna say, Ms. Desiree was in contact with me from the initial hearing moving forward, and called me when they had some of the work completed already on Thursday after the closing, so the trees are gone, they did repairs to the exteriors of the house, so they've been very proactive since obtaining the property.
So my question to the city is, since the costs were already paid in the closing, although I don't know if you all have received the check yet, do you want me to, you know what, I'll go ahead and put it in the order. It's in compliance, costs are imposed, which have been paid by the, in closing.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll put that in.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So my order is the property, proper notice was provided, the property was brought into compliance as of today, as agreed to by the city. In the closing, the administrative costs were assessed and were made part of the closing, and the city should be receiving a check for those costs. I will include the new owner's name on the order, but the style of the order will, the caption will remain the same.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Our next case is 23-26, Dorothy Jean West, 1035 Lundy Drive, and Officer Frank Lewis. And Miss West is here.
Okay, great. Mr. Lewis.
Wrong folder. Ma'am, first off, I'd like to enter into evidence the notice of violation, notice of hearing, and a cost recovery statement.
All right. So Exhibit 1 will be the notice of violation and the notice of hearing for today's hearing. Exhibit 2 will be the notice of hearing for today's hearing, and the affidavit of service will be Exhibit 2, and Exhibit 3 will be the cost recovery sheet requesting costs in the amount of $163.75. Okay.
All right, this is case number 2326, respondents Dorothy Jean West, violation address 1035 Lundy Drive. Notice of violation was mailed to same address. Violations were section 12-23, machinery parts, scrap lumber, et cetera, storage and maintaining prohibited. Section 13-73, inoperative vehicles. The initial inspection date was 3/15/23. On compliance date was of 3/31/23. The notice was mailed certified in first class on 3/15/23, and the green card was signed for on 3/20/23. The notice of hearing was posted at City Hall and on the property where the violation exists on 4/25/23. Certified and first class mail was mailed on 4/4. The violations were found during a routine inspection of the area. At the time of the initial inspection, it was a dark colored four-door sedan of unknown make on the left side of the house, missing the engine, hood, front grille, and both front fenders. There was also a Chevrolet four-door sedan in the driveway without a tag, and a Chevrolet pickup on the driveway with a license plate that was not valid and appeared inoperable. The property had tires, vehicle parts, tools, jack stands, and oil containers in the yard and on the driveway. The re-inspections, the vehicle that was beside the house and the Chevrolet four-door sedan in the driveway were removed on 3/28/23. The parts and other items were still in violation at that time. A re-inspection on 4/12/23 found another vehicle, which was a Cadillac SUV type, in the driveway on ramps, had been added, and the Chevrolet truck was still in violation. A re-inspection was done on 4/25/23. The Cadillac had been moved off the driveway into the yard, and a silver gray Dodge Dakota pickup without a tag had been put in the driveway. The owner's son called sometime after the non-compliance letter went out and stated the Cadillac was a customer's car, and he'd had the Cadillac gone and the Chevrolet truck operational in the first week of April. That's section 1223. That's the ordinance. Do you need ordinance?
I'm good.
Okay. And 1373, that's the inoperative vehicle ordinance. Okay, this was what the original violation on 315. You can see the Chevrolet truck and the items there up in the driveway. There is the trash and debris and the parts and some oil cans. These are the parts, transmissions, jack stands, assorted other parts. That was the vehicle that's beside the house. That vehicle's been moved. That was an original violation. That was the Chevrolet in the driveway, original violation, which has been removed. That's the Cadillac that was moved in after the initial inspection. Now, this is the Dodge pickup that was added after the original violation. In the conclusion, the facts in the case are that the section 12-23, the parts and debris is still in violation, and the inoperative vehicles are still in violation.
So there are still
Yes, ma'am.
inoperative vehicles on the property.
Yes, ma'am.
And you, like, your last inspection was when?
Was this morning. As of this morning, the Dodge truck is off the driveway, the Chevrolet truck is still in the driveway, and another vehicle, which appears to be an Infiniti SUV type vehicle of some description, was on the left side of the house. Now, there is a, do not know if any of them are registered. The junk and debris in most of the parts. There still may be some parts under a tarp on the driveway, but as of this morning, probably 98% of the trash and debris in the parts had been moved. There was still a stack of tires this morning that I could see for sure. Like I said, there may be some other parts up under the tarp I cannot see. The Chevy truck's still in violation, Dodge in violation of the vehicle. Okay. We'd recommend the respondent to correct the violation on before June 9th, 2023 to comply. In order to correct the violation, they must remove or repair and properly register all vehicles on the property, remove trash, junk, debris, and the vehicle parts from the property. Order the respondent be assessed administrative costs in the amount of $163.75, and if not in compliance by June 9th, 2023, it's requested that a fine of $150 per day per violation be imposed for each day the violations continue.
Is that because of the continuing reoccurrence of the cars coming in and out of?
Yes, ma'am. So at one point in the contact, the owner's son did contact me late in the game and said he would have some of them moved, which he did get one of them moved.
Okay. Okay. And you're asking until June 9th?
Yes, ma'am.
And does that bring us before our next meeting? Yeah, because we have a meeting on the 12th. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So on the trash and debris, it's mostly done, but is it the city's position? It's not 100% cleaned up, and we want the order
Yep.
to
Yes, ma'am.
get them to have
Yep,
a
yes, ma'am.
deadline.
Like I said, they probably had 98% of it done today, this morning when I was by there earlier.
Okay, all right. And respondents are here?
Yes.
All right. Would y'all like to come up and tell me about the violations and what your plans are? First, if you could let me know who you are and what your address is.
Go ahead.
My name is Dorothy West, Jean West, and my address is 1035 Lundy Drive, Titusville, Florida, 32796.
Yes, ma'am. And you are?
And Blake Jackson, son of Dorothy Jean West, 1035 Lundy Drive, Titusville, Florida, 32796.
Okay. All right, what are the plans to get rid of the inoperable vehicles off the property?
So the Dodge truck is supposed to be gone Wednesday. It's registered, actively registered. The Infinity is actively registered. So, I mean, the only other thing is the truck that's in the driveway, and that's my personal vehicle. I just haven't had time to, get down to the DMV to get it registered. But outside of that, everything else is, so far complete, except for you may have on the, I would say that is the south side of my home. It is the rims and tires next to the bin. So other than that, those are the only two things that will be considered non-compliant.
Okay, and then there's, the officer testified that you've cleaned up most of the parts and junk and stuff in the yard, just have a little bit more to go. I assume giving you until June 9th to get everything done is not going to be a problem?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. No, it's not a problem at all. All that stuff should be done by next week.
Okay.
Like I said, the weather and all different things that have been going on, it just slowed down my process of completing things. But as far as that, it should be done by then.
So I do want to tell you that since it does look like there was a violation, and I'm sure you can get it corrected so that you don't end up with a fine. However, once this order is in place, anytime the city sees another car on the property and, more parts and things like that, then you'll have what's called a repeat violation. And that can result in a fine up to $500 a day, and it starts as, the day that the officer sees that. So that's just kind of a warning to you that even if you can get this all cleaned up, there's still going to be an order in place on this violation, and you can't bring other inoperable vehicles on the property.
So, I don't mean to interrupt you. So stating that, I explained to him also via, through the pandemic, I moved from my shop to home. I don't have the funds to, go to a shop or take my vehicles to a shop or even have a shop to work on vehicles. So for me, it puts me in the position to where I have, bills still coming in, and I have to keep work going, and in between each vehicle that I work on or anything, I clean up completely, so basically in so many words, you're stating that I have to stop the conduction of my, business and how I feed my family.
Well,
and I'm just asking.
I'm saying
that's
the law.
I mean, so the law states what exactly as far as, I have business paperwork, stating that that's where my business is registered through now, and I understand that it's a residence, and I understand, keeping it clean. So, I mean, from moving forward, I don't mind keeping things clean. I don't mind, keeping things, as they should look in a neighborhood. But in a sense, you're telling me to stop how I conduct business to take care of my family. Is that what you're stating?
Code manager.
Yes, ma'am. I'd just like to point out that the city does allow home-based businesses within residentially zoned areas, and however, if he can get a particular business tax receipt that would allow for that, that would be one thing, but typically we do not allow for mechanical repairs in a residentially zoned neighborhood.
So would that be considered the difference between where I live and an HOA, or is there some type of
No, that's citywide.
difference?
like I said, you have opportunity to apply for a business
I
tax
have all
receipt.
that stuff.
Well, I mean, for that residence.
Okay, yes, I have all.
If
I
you're
have
turning a
everything.
wrench there, you have to have one for
Yeah, I
that.
have everything. So,
For that address?
correct.
Okay. I'll verify that there is.
That's not the violation before us, but it would surprise me if you are permitted to do auto repair in a residential, but that's not for today. My thought was only to let you know, since this seems to be a recurring
Yes, because
event
that's,
happening,
yeah,
that,
for
to
sure.
let you know that under at least code enforcement law, if there is another violation where this officer happens, or another officer happens to see the same thing going on, where there's an inoperative vehicle, that there's parts and debris in the area, in the yard, that the officer does have the right to issue a repeat violation. That's just, it's not up for today, it's just, I'm letting you know, since this
No,
seems
that's
to be a
understood.
recurring issue. All right, so, at this point, I guess, unless there's anything further either one of you want to mention on
No.
this violation, I'll go ahead and enter an order.
No, that's fine.
Okay, so, on this case, 23-26, based on the testimony and evidence, there was proper notice to respondents. Respondent is present today. The violation of 12-23, junk and debris, and the violation of section 13-73, inoperative vehicles. I find that these violations do exist on the property, that the respondent is given until June 9, 2023 to bring these both violations into compliance and to notify Officer Lewis as soon as everything is taken care of, so he can come by and confirm compliance, so that no fine will start to run, as long as that's done by June 9. If it is not accomplished by June 9, 2023, effective June 10, 2023, a fine will start to run in the amount of $150 per day per violation for 2 violations, and will continue to run until those 2 violations are completely cured. A Massey hearing will be held in the future to determine whether compliance has been achieved. And costs are imposed in the amount of $163.75. And we'll get that order out to you in the next few days. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, ma'am.
That's okay. Next case.
Case number 23-27, 1620 Craig Avenue, and Officer Jim Flanagan.
Officer Flanagan.
Good afternoon. This is case number 2327. I have 3 items to present. It's the notice of hearing, notice of violation, and the cost recovery of $181.36.
Thank you. Exhibit 1 be the notice of violation. And the affidavit of service. Exhibit 2 will be the notice of hearing for today's hearing, and the affidavit of service. And Exhibit 3 will be the cost recovery sheet, requesting costs in the amount of $181.36 for this case.
Okay. The respondents, Travis William and Corey Williams. The violation address 1620 Craig Avenue, Titusville, Florida. The mail to address is 2969 Bridge Road in Cocoa. And the violation is for building permit required for work that was done on the property.
I initially observed this on January 23rd, 2023. The date given to comply was February 7th, 2023. Notice respondent was mailed first class and certified on January 23rd. Notice of hearing was posted at City Hall and on the property on April 26th. And it was also certified mail and first class mail on April 4th, 2023. There has been no contact with the owner on this. I observed that there was a carport being enclosed on the property with wood framing, plywood exterior, windows, a door, stucco siding, etc. without a permit. Checked the property several times. There's been no permits applied for nor approved. And until recently, it was a vacant property, but there's somebody living there now. And this was the picture that I observed with the framework being done, and this was the carport area that was enclosed. This picture is off the property appraiser site that says it shows that it was a carport at the time. And this is just a follow-up picture when I posted the property. Obviously, it's still there. It's still in violation. Conclusion of the facts, a building permit was required for the carport enclosure and framing. The plywood, windows, doors, etc. have to be permitted before installation. And as of today, no permit has been applied for. Orders recommended the order be correct the violation by June 9th. In order to correct the violation, it needs to obtain a permit. Order to respondent for the administrative costs, $181.36. If the respondent doesn't comply by June 9th, a fine of $50 per day per violation should be imposed until it gets corrected, and notify me when it gets permit.
Can I see the picture one more time?
Yes, ma'am. Oops. That's what it originally looked like before they did the work, and they enclosed it there.
Okay. So they added the,
They added the stucco wall on the side, and the
Okay.
wood frame and everything in the front.
and a window,
And the window, yes.
not a door.
Oh, the door's on the side.
Oh,
Yeah.
door on the side.
Mm.
Okay. Respondent is not present?
Is not present, that I know of. Nope, not here.
Okay. Based on the testimony and evidence, proper notice was provided to respondent. Respondent is not present. I find that based on the pictures and the testimony of the officer, it appears that a carport has been enclosed. There's framework, there's a window added, stucco added on the side, and a door without obtaining the required permit. In violation of section 6-56, building permit required. Respondent is ordered to bring the violation into compliance by obtaining a permit for the work that's been done by June 9, 2023. Failure to comply by June 9, 2023 may result in a fine of $50 per day per violation beginning June 10, 2023. Respondent is ordered to notify Officer Flanagan once compliance is achieved in order to stop or prevent any fine. And a hearing will be held, a Massey hearing will be held to determine compliance. Costs will be imposed in the amount of $181.36. And that's it.
Let me know if you're ready.
I'm ready.
2328, Miss Officer Flanagan will be the officer in this case, and also Mr. Torres is here to represent the property owners.
Okay. All right.
Again, it's 2328. I have three items to submit. It's the notice of violation, the notice of hearing, and the cost recovery sheet of $269.41.
Are you an attorney, sir? Or, okay. Exhibit 1 will be the notice of violation and the affidavit of service. Exhibit 2 will be the notice of hearing for today's hearing and the affidavit of service. And Exhibit 3 will be the city's cost recovery sheet requesting costs in the amount of $269.41 for the prosecution of this case.
The respondent is listed as APM Properties, Inc. The violation address is 1200 South Street, Titusville, Florida. This is a vacant lot. The mail to address is listed as 1900 North 9th Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 19122 is the zip code. And violation charge of junk and debris and camping on the property. Initial inspection, I observed this on October 12th, 2022. Notice of violation was posted on the site. It was given until October 27th, 2022 to correct the violation. On October 12th, 2022 was mailed certified and first class. On April 26th, 2023, it was posted at City Hall and on the property where the violation existed. Certified mail was sent on April 4th, 2023, delivered and signed for on April 13th, 2023. Until today, I haven't even spoke to him, but there has been no contact with the owner to try to resolve this issue. I first observed several items of debris, items consistent with what appeared to be someone camping under trees on a vacant lot. I posted a notice on the violation and also mailed the violation to the property owner. At the time, there was nobody on the property to talk to. Checked the property several times. Doesn't appear, to be any effort made to clean up the property. There has been no contact with anybody representing the company until today about the camping or debris. And this is pictures of all the debris items consistent with, I believe to be homeless people living up underneath the trees of the property. They have grocery carts, chairs, all kinds of miscellaneous debris, junk and debris sitting on the property. This is a closer picture of it when I was posting the property on April 26th of their debris. That's just the upper close that I posted the property on their property so they understood. I did speak to a gentleman that was on, two people that were on the property, explained to them the situation. They said they'd be gone or try to be gone, and they're still there as of this morning. And all the debris is still there.
And do they appear to be living there?
Oh, yeah, they said they were living there, living on the property. The conclusion of facts, junk and debris on the property from camping equipment and other miscellaneous items. And then the camping, persons camping on privately owned property without evidence of the owner or permission from the owner.
What's the zoning for that?
It says camping, says no person shall camp on private property in vacant lot or any under bridges without obtaining permission from the owner or persons in possession of the property.
So it doesn't matter if it's a residential property or industrial or anything like
Yeah,
that? It's just if
yes,
it's a
ma'am,
vacant lot?
that's
Yeah.
throughout the city, on all zoning designated properties.
And the recommendation is for the respondent to correct the violation by June 9th in order to correct the violation, remove all the debris from the property. The respondents be assessed the administrative cost of $269.41. And if they don't comply by June 9th, a fine of $50 per day per violation should be imposed until it gets corrected, and contact me for a reinspection.
What was your recommended fine
$50 a day
per violation?
per violation.
Okay. If you could just give me your name and your business address.
Yes, my name is Jimmy Torres. And the business address is the one that you have here, 1900 North 9th Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19122.
And what's your relationship with the owners?
So they authorized me to represent them. I live in Orlando, so it's easier for us to take care of business while I'm like closer to here. I'm amazed with Titusville, by the way. I saw nude people yesterday. Sheila, that's good. So I went to Cape Canaveral to the beach, and there was like nude people there. So I'm amazed with Titusville and the area. I'm 60 years old. I'm still learning. What I want to explain is that we, several years ago, and it's important representative of this community, Representative Plasencia, got into a conversation with our organization, which is a nonprofit organization in Philadelphia that do housing for underprivileged people. And we bought this property with the idea of building. So we have tried several times to put a fence there so we can avoid homeless people to camp in there. It's not camping, they live there. They occupy a property without permission. Actually, we paid Empire Fence from Sherwood Forest Drive, $5,400 for the fence that they never built. This, I think these notices of violations, we never got them. So we didn't know that the violations were there. So we're here at, as soon as possible, and for sure we will be building the fence. On the other hand, we have cleaned the property several times. Monthly, someone goes and clean the property. But when I became part of APM, I came here in March 23rd to ask for permission to build the fence and to see if it was necessary for us to get permission to remove the trees. Because if you remove the trees, the homeless are not going to be there because they're camping under the trees. So March 23rd, I came to this office. Josh took my paper. He went into the back office and came back and said, "Oh, we will contact you." We were never contacted. So we're here. We want to comply, and we want to do what is best for this city and for the people.
Well, I can't tell you about the tree. Trees probably aren't gonna, I don't know. I can't speculate, but I doubt that they'll let you remove a tree just so that homeless people won't camp under it. But that's not the violation today.
But we're willing to work with the complying officers.
So on the fence, which would probably ultimately get you in compliance, I would suppose, is that going to be enough time? If I give you until June 9th, is that going to be enough time to get that in the works, getting your fence up?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what type of fence work we're going to be building, because if we get all the permissions to do the housing project that we want to build there, then it's going to be a different type of fence. Can you give us like more time?
Well, the fence is not really the fix for this violation. The fix for the violation is getting everyone off and removing the debris and not allowing, unauthorized people to camp out there. That cures the particular violation, but to prevent it from...
Should we contact the police to remove these people?
Well, that's a trespass issue.
I can discuss. The fence, I agree. It is a pretty big lot. It would cost them a lot of money. There's an option you can do is trim the bottom of the tree so they don't have a place to hide out. And the city also does provide a blanket trespass warrant. If they catch anybody on the property, the law enforcement has the right to kick them off the property.
Okay, good.
Okay. Due to the fact I haven't had any contact with y'all, that's why we're here today. If somebody would have called me, but there's avenues you can take that we can get this resolved without the expenditures of the fence and stuff. And I agree, they do cut the grass on a regular basis, and cut around the debris.
So maybe you can exchange contact information after the hearing so that you both have a way to contact. So in order to get that's a month, a little over a month, in order to remove the debris and get anyone out. And if you want to go ahead and contact the police to issue trespass warrants, you have that capability as well. Trimming the bottom of the trees, that's a good suggestion too. I think that June 9th is a reasonable amount of time to get that done. Whatever else you plan to do in the future, you might want to get working on that as well.
Thank you, Magistrate.
Okay. All right, I'll go ahead and enter an order unless the city has anything additional to add. No. Okay.
No.
Based on the evidence and testimony, it appears there's no dispute that there is a violation of section 12-23 and 12-26. Notice was provided. A representative of the respondent was present and provided testimony. I find that there is a violation and that the respondent shall be given until June 9th to bring those two violations into compliance and to notify Officer Flanagan as soon as that compliance is achieved. Contact information is hopefully being exchanged. And failure to bring the property into compliance by June 9th will result in a fine in the amount of $25 per day per violation for each and every day the violation continues past June 9, 2023. And costs in the amount of $269.41 will be imposed. Actually, I'm going to reserve costs. I'm going to reserve costs on this one. If we do have another hearing, a Massey hearing, which would be held next month, if everything is brought into compliance by then no costs will be imposed. All right, next case. Ready?
Yes, ma'am. Be case number 23-29, 920 Kenilworth, and again, Officer Flanagan.
This case number 2329, I have 3 items to present: the notice of violation, notice of hearing, and the cost recovery for $181.36.
I'll accept into evidence as Exhibit 1, the notice of violation and the affidavit of service. Exhibit 2 is the notice of hearing and affidavit of service. Exhibit 3 is the cost recovery sheet for $181.36.
The respondent in this matter is Shirley and Jacob Murray, 920 Kenilworth Court, Titusville, Florida. Mail to address was the same. The violation is junk and debris and accessory structure for the fence. On January 23rd, 2023, I observed the violation and posted a notice of violation on the property. Date given to comply was February 7th. Notice of the respondent was mailed first class and certified on January 23rd. On April 26th, it was posted at City Hall and the property for the notice of hearing, and a certified mail was sent on April 4th, certified and first class mail. It was returned unclaimed, the certified mail. There's been no contact with the owner. I observed piles of junk and debris being stored in the front yard. I had previously posted the same violation on the property in the past, and it was resolved. I also observed the wood fence was missing sections and falling, required repairs. Checked the property several times. There has been no attempt to clean up anything, and no fence repairs have been made. And this is the original picture of the junk and debris, different items in the front yard, bicycle parts, gas cans, etc., all kinds of stuff in the front yard on the side. This is just a close-up of the same picture. And you can see the fence section and different things falling as well in the background there. All right. This is as of April 26th. There's just other items there, all kinds of junk and debris still in the front yard. And there's been no activity to try to repair any parts of the fence.
So this is after they got the notice, there's more.
Correct, yeah, correct. And this is another picture of the driveway, different items being stored in the driveway as well. And you can see propane tanks with the grill and everything out there as well. Junk and debris, the conclusion of the facts, junk and debris, miscellaneous items being stored in the front yard and area in the side that requires to be removed. And for 302.7, the wood fence is falling and need to be repaired as well. Recommendation, the respondent to correct the violation by June 9th, 2023. In order to correct the violation, remove all the debris from the yard and repair the fence. Respondent is requested to pay the administrative cost of $181.36. If the respondent doesn't comply by June 9th, a $50 per day per violation should be imposed, or requested to be imposed rather, and they need to contact me for follow-up and let me know when it's been corrected. And I don't believe the respondent's here.
Okay. Based on the evidence and testimony, I find that the respondents were provided notice and did not appear, that there is a violation of section 12-23 junk and debris due to the various miscellaneous household and other items strewn about the front and side yards. The fence is clearly in need of repair. It is falling down, and a reasonable time to come into compliance would be by June 9, 2023. Failure to come into compliance by June 9, 2023 will result in a fine in the amount of $50 per day per violation. There's 2 violations, which will continue until compliance is achieved. Respondent is ordered to contact Officer Flanagan to confirm compliance. Costs in the amount of $181.36 is also imposed. All right, next.
Yes, ma'am. Our last 3 cases are the same owner, 3 different properties.
Okay.
Case number 2331, because they were able to pull the permit for that one is in compliance today.
Okay.
That leaves us with,
Do you want an
2330.
order on that one, or
no,
Nope,
ma'am.
she did get her permit
permit.
on the Glenda.
okay?
Yeah,
So no order needed on
No,
that
no,
one?
no orders needed, ma'am. And then Officer Wright has both of these cases, and I believe she has had some conversation with the owners.
Okay.
So we're gonna start with the initial hearing for case number 2330. That's for 945 Palermo. I've got 3 items, exhibits to submit. The first is going to be the notice of violation and affidavit. The second is going to be the notice of hearing and affidavit. And the third is going to be the cost recovery statement in the amount of $198.97.
All right, I'll take into evidence as Exhibit 1, the notice of violation and the affidavit of service. Exhibit 2 is the notice of hearing and affidavit of service. Exhibit 3 is the cost recovery sheet, requesting costs in the amount of $198.97. And that'll be Exhibit 3. Okay.
All right, so our respondent is Tina Russo. Our violation address is 945 Palermo Road. The mailing address is 865 Glenda Drive. both Titusville, Florida 32780. Our violation is section 6-56, permit required, and this is for the roof. So the initial inspection was completed on September 20th of 2022. Notice of violation was posted on the property, as well as certified and first-class mail was sent to the listed owner on September 22nd, 2022. The certified mail was returned unclaimed, unable to forward on November 4th of 2022. They were given until October 20th, 2022 to comply. Our notice of hearing was posted at City Hall and on the property on April 26th, 2023. The certified and first-class mail was sent to the listed owner on April 6th, and the certified mail has yet to be signed for or returned to the office. So, in response to a complaint, an inspection of this property was completed. New metal roofing was observed installed on the home, and there was construction debris scattered throughout the front yard and on the driveway. Per the Titusville Building Department, no permit had been issued. While on site, the tenant did come back to the property. I received contact information for Miss Tina, and I left her a voice message at the phone number, giving her some information for the building department and that permits are being required for the work. So, per the Titusville Building Department, no permit has been applied for or approved. So this last Friday, May 5th, I spoke to Miss Tina Russo by phone. She had actually come to City Hall and spoke to the building department. She was able to pull her permit on her homesteaded property, the Glenda Drive, but she was told that the other two properties, the Palermo and our next case on Margie, that those two will require a certified or a licensed contractor to pull those permits. She stopped by the police department to talk to me. I was still out in the field, which is why I spoke to her by phone. So the contractor she hired to do the roof work is not a licensed roof contractor. So she is in the process of trying to find someone to pull the permits for her. So this is a picture taken September 20th. Again, this is the roofing materials in the front yard, and roofing materials already up on the house. This is taken when I posted the property. So again, a permit is required to install the metal roof, and there is no permit issued at this time. So we are requesting that the respondent be ordered to correct the violation on or before July 7th, 2023. To correct the violation, they must obtain the permit for the roof and complete the inspection. We are asking that the administrative costs be assessed in the amount of $198.97. And if they do not comply by July 7th, we're asking for a fine of $50 per day be assessed. And to call me as soon as it's been corrected.
Thank you. Based on the testimony and evidence, I find that the respondent was provided notice of the violation and of today's hearings. Respondent is not present. The evidence shows that there is a violation of section 6-56, permit required for the metal roof that was put on the house without a permit, and in order to bring this property into compliance, the respondent must have a licensed contractor pull the permit and obtain all required inspections. Under the permitting process, respondent is given until July 7, 2023 to bring this violation into compliance. Failure to do so by July 7th will result in a fine in the amount of $50 per day running as of July 8th, 2023. Respondent is ordered to contact Officer Wright as soon as the property is brought into compliance. Costs are imposed in the amount of $198.97. And the next case is the same owner, different property, right?
Correct. It's going to be 940 Margie Drive. Same thing, metal roof.
Metal roof.
So I have 3 exhibits for you. I've got the notice of violation and affidavit. The second is going to be the notice of hearing and affidavit. And the third is going to be the cost recovery statement in the amount of $146.14.
Thank you. The Exhibit 1 will be the notice of violation and affidavit of service. Exhibit 2 is the notice of hearing and affidavit of service. And Exhibit 3 is the cost recovery sheet requesting costs in the amount of $146.14.
So once again, this is the initial hearing for case 23-32. Our respondent is Tina Russo. Our violation address is 940 Margie Drive. Our mailing address is 940 Margie Drive and 865 Glenda Drive, both in Titusville, Florida, 32780. Our violations section is 6-56 for permit required for the roof. So this property was inspected and posted on January 5th of 2023. Certified and first-class mail was sent to the listed owner on January 9th of 2023. Certified mail for both addresses were returned unclaimed, unable to forward on January 18th of 2023. They were given till January 20th, 2023 to comply. Notices of hearing were posted at City Hall and on the property on April 26th. Certified and first-class mail was sent to both addresses for the listed owner on April 6th, 2023. The certified mail sent to 940 Margie Drive was returned unclaimed, unable to forward, and the one sent to the Glenda address has yet to be signed for or returned. So, while completing a stop at this property, I was trying to make contact with the owner, Tina Russo. When I was at the property, I observed the metal roof on the unoccupied house. Checking with the building department, confirmed that no permit had been issued. I posted a notice of violation on the property and mailed to the listed owners. So again, this property, no permits have ever been applied for or issued. As per the previous case, she was told that a licensed roofing contractor has to pull this permit when she went in on May 5th to talk to the building department. So this is just a picture of the property. In January, it was unoccupied. When I went to post the notice of violation or the notice of hearing, we did have a new tenant that had moved in beginning of April. While I was there, the tenant was there. I spoke with her, and she was going to call and text her landlord until the 5th. I had no contact with Ms. Russo. So again, our conclusion of fact is a permit is required for the metal roof to be installed. And we are requesting that the respondent be ordered to correct the violation on or before July 7th, 2023. To correct it, they must obtain the required permits and inspection for work done to the house. We are requesting administrative costs in the amount of $146.14 be assessed And if they do not comply by July 7th, that a fine of $50 per day be imposed for each day the violation continues, and to contact me once it has been corrected.
Thank you. I find that the respondent was provided notice of violation and notice of today's hearing. Respondent is not present, that there is a violation of section 6-56, permit required for the metal roof that was installed, that respondent shall have until July 7th, 2023 to obtain the required permit for the roof, and the permit must be pulled by a licensed contractor, and all inspections shall be completed. Failure to comply by July 7th, 2023 may result in a fine of $50 per day that would begin to run July 8th, 2023. Respondent must contact Officer Wright when compliance is achieved, and costs are imposed in the amount of $146.14. Is that our last case?
That was the last case, ma'am.
All right. Thank you all.
Yeah. Thank you. I do want to let you know that next month we do have an appeal to a trespass.